Hey guys, Tarke and a cat, and we're going to do a quick build guide for my Duelist Slayer double dot earthquake lab farmer. This is the tree in question. Now the way this is going to work is I'm going to show you my character. I did kill the character. I died basically by being an idiot, and we'll get into that later. So we'll break down my links, all that good stuff, go over the tree, go over some possible options, and then do a little demonstration in Dark Forest. Since this isn't standard, unfortunately, I don't have any keys to do a live sort of Uber run. Right. So first off, how does this build work, and why is it double dot, and how is it getting double dot? The Void Heart Iron Ring is the most important item in the build. Void Heart is a fated iron ring, as you can see. And the way it works is, you get the prophecy for it. You can buy the prophecy for like 20 chaos and run it yourself, or you can buy the ring itself for about 35 chaos on prophecy hardcore prices. Melee attacks have a 100% chance to cause bleeding. Melee attacks poison on hit. This actually has really nice synergy with Earthquake, because the way that Earthquake works is you attack once. After a delay, there's a big explosion. Cool. So usually the way that Earthquake clears maps is you sort of attack once, run forward, attack once, run forward, attack once, run forward. Occasionally you will have the odd straggler which just about survives. The bleed and the poison always finishes it off. And then for bosses or tanky rares or anything which is like tanky enough to survive the initial hit, the bleed and poison just absolutely right, because the poison ramps up fairly quickly. The bleed does a lot of damage by itself, and it also has really nice synergy with the Ancestral War Chief, which is the new OP when it comes to melee skills. This alone does insane single target damage. If we had to link Bloodlust to it, since you cause bleeds with your main attack, is ridiculous. So this just absolutely beast modes everything. So we run Val Haste. So the way it works is you just clear the map as usual, get to the boss, pop this dude, press Val Haste, you smack it, he smacks it, everything falls over and dies. Now, because we are scaling just the fizz damage and the damage over time, you do something slightly different. You notice I'm running a dual curse. I'm actually doing the standard hatred combo. Why am I doing that? Earthquake is a build which struggles with reflect. It struggles with physical reflect, it struggles with elemental reflect. Because I'm a Slayer and I have headsman, I take 50% reduced physical reflect. Because I have very little elemental damage, if you look, I only have a little bit of fire damage, which is coming purely from my Herald of Ash. I don't really have to worry about elemental reflect at all. I can run elemental reflect maps, absolutely no worries. So if we look at my main links, I run Earthquake, Conk Effect. The reason why I run Conk Effect is I gain a bunch of AoE through Slayer. The Conk Effect also buffs the damage of my bleed and my poison. We run Restoration. Restoration is a more damage multiplier, which is huge, and it makes Earthquake usable. Melee Fizz is just another huge scaler on the Earthquake again. It also scales the bleed and the poison, as does Restoration, as the Conk Effect, and Fortify. Fortify is pretty decent as a 5-link. It does give you increased melee Fizz damage, so it does scale your initial hit and the dot damage. And it does give you Fortify, meaning you don't need to put it somewhere else. You could take this out and run Added Fire, which will give you more DPS on your initial hit, but it wouldn't give you any scaling at all on your 2 dots. So I think Fortify overall is better damage in general. And for Added Fire to draw ahead, you want to be running Wed, but then you want a 6-link, and this just works. You can also play around with Rapid Decay, and originally I ran Rapid Decay instead of Fortify. Rapid Decay obviously gives you much nicer dot damage. It makes Earthquake slightly more instant with the Restoration, but personally I just prefer Fortify. And if I was to run a 6-link, I'd probably throw Restoration on the end there for a little bit of quality of life. We then do Ancestral War Chief, Melee Fizz, Faster Attacks, Bloodlust. You can play with these links a little bit. Ideally you would pick up a 5-link chest. You either want a incredibly well-rolled rare, or you want a lightning coil. I just went for this rare because it filled in my resist quite nicely, has good life on it, it's just a pretty solid item. Next important one, cast on damage taken, mortal cool, increased duration, Val Haste. Put the Val Haste in here because it benefits from the increased duration. Even though you can't use Val Haste for the Azaro boss fight when you're farming Uber Lab, you can use it for the Argus fight, and Val Haste is a big boost to the War Chief. So it does actually make Uber Lab slightly quicker because you can haste your way through most of it and blow up Argus super quick. and for mapping it's just really solid. You can alternatively run Vol Grace if you want to be slightly more defensive. Now the boots are kind of a wonky setup. Currently I have Enfeeble, Blasphemy, Temp Chains. I swap Enfeeble in and out with Vulnerability. Basically, if I'm doing anything kind of scary, I run Enfeeble, Temp Chains. If I'm running anything where I'm not afraid of getting one shot, I run Vulnerability, because Vulnerability gives us a lot of damage. I do run Hatred in here as well, even though I don't run Hatred. I had a floating, 4th green, and whenever I'm on a hexproof map, basically anything curse immune, we just turn off the 2 blasters, run Hatred, and we're chill to go. So that's that. The helm is another random hodgepodge. Here we have Leap Slam, Blood Magic, Faster Attacks, Blood Rage. It basically, Leap Slam, Fast Attacks, Blood Magic is good. The reason why I'm running Blood Magic is, as you can see, I have 95% reserved mana. So, being able to actually cast Leap Slam is kind of nice. I've got enough leech that I can Earthquake, consistently, even without leeching, just from natural regen. I can spam it pretty hard, but I have a lot of mana leech, so it's fine. But basically, this is just enough mana where I don't need to invest into aura nodes in the slightest. I don't need to run Enlighten, and I can still cast all of my spells. I'm then running Herald of Ash here, and we're running Vitality here, which is something I just swap in and out of. Now I noticed, well, where's your Enduring Cry? This was the big issue with my build. I wanted 3 red, 1 green on my helm, or I wanted a random red here, meaning I could move the Herald of Ash. If I could move the Herald of Ash, I could do Blood Magic, Enduring Cry here. Suddenly everything works. Or if I could get another red in here, I could just throw Enduring Cry here with the Blood Magic. I just had an Evasion Gloves, Evasion Boots, couldn't get the off colors. Preferably you'd have hybrid armor evasion gear, in which case it isn't an option, it isn't a problem, sorry, or you just get a pure armor piece, and again, it just isn't a problem. I basically just couldn't get the links that I wanted. I do recommend having a weapon swap Bright Beaks, just so you can leap around faster, which for lab and map clear in general is really solid. With that in mind, this character was level 86 with 6k life, which is pretty solid. I am running a Void Heart Ring with not much life on it here. I'm running pretty good gloves. I'm running a pretty decent belt, it's got nice stats on it, has got strength, has got life, but you can get much higher life on a belt. You can easily get about 140, 150 if you look hard enough. Decent roll life boots. Again, Dodries for the dual curse here. Pretty nice life roll here, and, pretty nice life roll here. So with the GG gear, more points spent on the tree gets about 7k. If you decide to move your links around and run a Combs Heart, you can easily get about 8 to 9k. If we look at the passives, again, this is level 86. The reason why I didn't pick up the endurance charges is, as I said, I didn't have the correct links for Enduring Cry. The second I did have the correct links, I would have respec'd and picked up the endurance charges and spec'd up some life as a priority. Now, I actually played around with Impact, and the reason why I spec'd out of Impact and spec'd into Brutal Fervor, which gives you some more leech per second, increased life leech, can't be stunned while leeching, and immune to bleeding while leeching. Slayer already has a lot of AoE, even with Conk Effect, it's more than enough. Also, for Uber lab farming, which is what this character is designed around, you don't need the AoE for the Azario fight. You don't really need the AoE for anything, so, it didn't really give me much. The main issue that this build has is if you don't take Unwavering Stance, you walk forward, you attack kind of slow. If you get stunned, like mid-animation, you get killed, basically. Again, I did play this in hardcore, it did die at the end to me messing up Azario. But there are a few close calls where the build would face roll the entire map, and I'd just get one unlucky stun, my attack wouldn't go off, I'd get dropped low, I'd have to burn all my flasks, and then we're chilling. Also, the reason why I'm running double health flask, not a Quicksilver here, is I was just running double health flask for the traps from when I was last playing this character. So, yeah. So I found that picking up Brutal Fervor gave me the stun immune, which was really important, and having the bleed immune is just a nice quality of life. But basically, it just gave me really insane levels of leech, so it's really, really solid. Bane of Legends Headsman is set and forget, and I recommend while leveling this character, you rush Headsman, pick up Endless Hunger, and then pick between Impact or Brutal, depending on how you're feeling. Leveling this character, I used Molten Strike till level 12. Then at level 12, I picked up Sunder. Sundered all the way until I could Earthquake, and then once I got Earthquake, just set and forget. Pick up the Ancestral War Chief as soon as you can, and it will hard carry you through leveling. Basically, just want to come down through here, pick up this, pick up damage, pick up life, pick up damage. I recommend getting a jewel pretty early, and you just want to get a jewel and throw the physical attack damage leech's mana on there as quickly as possible. The reason why that is it just means leveling's an absolute joke. You don't have to worry about mana potions. You can just run, you know, triple quicksilver leveling, nice and quick. The main stats you're looking for on jewels are resist, if you need to cap your resist as your main prio. Mana leech on one jewel, you only need it on one. Then you want something like melee damage, area damage, damage with 200 weapons, just generic sort of basically damage, anything which can scale up both your initial hit and your damage over time. I recommend picking the Fortify wheel up as soon as you start running Fortify on your main setup. So if you're only on a 4 link, your links will look like this. In which case, don't bother picking this up until you have 100% uptime. Once you do get a 5 link, run Fortify. And again, if you're playing in Prophecy, I highly recommend you use the Jeweler's Touch Prophecy, which gives you a fully linked 5 socket item with just 1 Jeweler Orb, and they cost about 20-30 Chaos. It's just way cheaper than trying to 5 link stuff yourself. But anyway, pick that up when you can. Ignore the damage nodes, pick up life, rush RT. Once you've got RT, you have a few options. You can either start filling in some of the life nodes that you skipped past while leveling, or you can rush up to Amplify for more AoE. You just get carried by rares through leveling. Just pick up good rares, good uniques. Pick up a Joffrey's Baptism at 27. That makes that bit a joke. And also, for anyone playing in Prophecy, I recommend you run a Cauterizer. Cauterizer is a fated limb split, which gives you like 250 top end fizz, and then a bunch of that fizz added as fire. Basically, you have a 450 top end weapon equipable at level 40, which costs you a couple of chaos. It's pretty OP. When I equipped my Moroi and took off the Cauterizer, I only gained like 400 or 500 tooltip DPS. I know tooltip is meaningless, but it goes to show you just how good the upgraded limb split is. Once you've got an Amplify, depending on if you got life or not, I then recommend picking up Skull Cracking and Bone Breaker. I go through these nodes, not these nodes, because the attack speed makes me leap a little bit quicker, and I found I was stunning everything anyway. Once you've gotten this and this, I recommend rushing the Scion Wheel, or rushing down to here, depending on if you want the jewel or not. I highly recommend early on picking up a Brute Force Solution. It converts all of this strength into int, and you will need to meet the int requirements for your Blasphemy, your Enfeeble or Vulnerability, and your Conk effect. If you look at my stats, this right here, you know, gives me quite a lot of int, so it's pretty good. So rush that if you need the int requirements early on. Basically, fill in all the life wheels, pick up the endurance charges as soon as you can, and that's it. It's a pretty straightforward character. I can show you what the finish tree would look like. You'll have 232 max life. This is 116 points, but it's pretty easy to trim from. You have a good amount of damage, and you have access to, you know, a couple of jewels with an easy range. Basically, it's just about balancing what you do and don't need. If you feel like you need damage, pick up some more damage nodes here. Pick up damage nodes here. Pick up here and here. If you feel like you have enough damage, then, you know, pick up life, so on and so forth, feel it out. I also highly recommend picking up all these regen nodes. You can even pick up this regen node if you plan on doing a lot of Uber Lad and you're not too confident with the traps. I found I could face tank basically any trap just through the amount of regen I had. And, you know, to kind of give you an example of that, I'm not going to go run a map. But if you do have any questions about this character, which, you know, isn't covered in this video, feel free to just leave a YouTube comment, and I do my best to reply to every single one. You can also catch me live on Twitch, and, you know, you can get me live there. Overall, I would highly recommend this character to anyone who wants to try out Earthquake, or they want to get a little bit of Uber Lab farming. One other thing I will say is, for the record, while I personally prefer Slayer as the go-to for Earthquake, you can also do this build as either a Berserker or a Juggernaut. If you do this as a Berserker, you'll have more damage but lower clear speed than a Slayer, which, you know, is what it is. You do miss out on the 20% culling, which is really nice for Zarya farming, because you basically skip the phase 3 of the fight. If you do this as a Juggernaut, you'll have a lot less damage, like a lot less damage than if you go Slayer. But, on the other hand, you can basically ignore everything in the game. If you are interested in the Juggernaut version of this, I recommend you check out another Path of Exile streamer and YouTuber called Angry AA. He's currently streaming, as far as I'm aware, the Juggernaut version of this character. And he basically has about a 5-second immortal cool, which is pretty good when it comes to face tanking Azari. Now, he does do a lot less damage, but, you know, if you want the option of the super tanky for hardcore, or you're just feeling, you know, super brain dead and softcore, I'd highly recommend it. Now, you can see that, you know, we face tank that pretty easily, not even using the Vaal Haste or the Warchief Totem. I'll now let the Warchief Totem solo a few packs so you can get an idea of its damage. You can see it just sort of does work. Again, we have a lot of regen, so I can let myself get bullied a little bit. And this is a vulnerable map. And you see, you just naturally regen up. Also, because our leech effects aren't removed at full life, we just take a few attacks off this. When you do attack, you just leech straight back up to full. So it's pretty satisfying gameplay. It's pretty straightforward as well. And then again, whenever you want mobility, just leap around like that. Obviously, when you have the links for it, you will be spamming Enduring Cry in between packs just to keep your endurance charges up. Another nice thing about Juggernaut, if you're a little bit on the lazy side, is you don't need to worry about, you know, self-endurance charge generation, because whenever they get hit, they basically gain max charges. Now, I won't do a full clear of the map, because I'm assuming by this point you've kind of got the idea. You press right click, stuff dies, anything which doesn't die gets killed to the bleed. One cool thing I will show you is, even with a leap slam with absolutely no links in it, the bleed and the poison alone is enough to whittle down basically anything, and that is just leap slam with faster attacks, which is kind of cool. So yeah. Anyway, if you do have any questions, as I said, leave them down below. I will leave a link to my profile below, and before I forget, because I always do, for bandits you want to help Oak, for the life, fizz damage, and the endurance charge. If you are lazy with endurance charges and you know you won't keep them up, then you can go crate in Merc for the frenzy charge, since you do run Blood Rage. But just go Oak, man. It's worth it. Anyway, I'm Tarke Cat. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye-bye.